Haley.
I'm Megan.
I'm Chris. I'm Alyssa.
We've helped make this video to explain the Lancaster County court processes for abuse, neglect, and foster care.
Oh geez, I hate when they call it that, abuse and neglect.
It's kind of harsh, but that's the official terminology they use in court.
You'll meet your judge and other representatives of the court system, and you'll also learn the rules and what to expect.
If you've already been to court, we hope this video will help you to better understand what's going on. And for those of you who have never been to court, we hope this video will help prepare you for what's going to happen.
The judges want you to come to court. You may want to go to court so you can know what's going on with the court case. If you have any questions, going to court would be the perfect time to ask the questions that you have and to get the answers that you're looking for.
Let's go in!
Hello. Take your purses and put them on the x-ray machine for us, please. Do you have anything else in your pockets, metal or electronic?
No.
With you, it's probably going to be your shoes. Dave, would you wand this young lady? Come right through the middle here. You're up.
Hello, I'm Judge Roger Heidemann, one of 4 juvenile court judges in Lancaster County. Later in the video, you'll meet the other juvenile court judges, Judge Tony Thorson, Judge Linda Porter, and Judge Reggie Ryder. Now that you've had an opportunity to view the outside of the courthouse, I'm going to show the inside of a courtroom. This is called the bench. This is where the judge sits during the hearing and listens to the evidence. During the hearing, we have a court reporter recording all the evidence that's being taken. This is where the court reporter sits during the hearing. If there are any witnesses during the hearing, they may be asked to sit at the witness stand. During the hearing, all the parties and the attorneys will be situated in the courtroom. Generally, the county attorney will sit here.
My name is Alicia Henderson, and I am a lawyer in the Lancaster County Attorney's Office. Now, our office actually files the cases that have brought you to court in juvenile court. The police department, the sheriff's department, and the child protective services people are the ones who actually investigate the cases where children have been abused or neglected or where they're in a dangerous situation. They do the investigation, and then they bring that information to the county attorney's office, and we make a decision about whether or not there's enough evidence to file a case in juvenile court.
They're usually, next to them will be the case manager and service coordinator involved in the case. The Guardian Ad Litem, your Guardian Ad Litem, will generally sit here.
My name is John Broughton. I'm a Guardian Ad Litem in juvenile court cases. A Guardian Ad Litem is a lawyer who sits in the courtroom and deals with juvenile court cases from the child's perspective. Our role is to advocate for what we believe is in your best interest as we do these juvenile court cases. For all the minor children that are in juvenile court, you all have a Guardian Ad Litem, and you should all know who that Guardian Ad Litem is, and you can talk to them all the time. If you do not know who your Guardian Ad Litem is, you can always ask your caseworker from Health and Human Services, or you can ask your parents. They may know who the Guardian Ad Litem is. You can also call the courthouse to ask the judge's bailiff who your Guardian Ad Litem is. Some of the things that we do as a Guardian Ad Litem is we come out and we meet with you in your house, we go to your schools, we'll talk to your therapist, we'll get to know you so that we can make recommendations to the court that we think are best for you. Sometimes you may not agree with everything that we say is in your best interest, and sometimes we have to make recommendations that are difficult. But by and large, we do what we think is in your best interest. Because we don't necessarily know what's in your best interest until we talk to you to understand what's in your best interest. As lawyers in the courtroom, as Guardian Ad Litems, we're able to ask questions, we're able to present evidence, We're able to tell the judge what you want to have happen. We're able to tell the judge what other people think should happen in the case. So we're always able to have that communication with the court and with the parties so that you can get your viewpoints across. And if you talk to the guardian ad litem and you think that it's time for you to go home, or you think that it's time for you to have some overnights at your parents' house, you can always call the guardian ad litem, and if we're not scheduled for court for a few months, we may be able to get into court sooner. I hope that I've been able to clarify the role of what a guardian ad litem is. Make sure you ask questions of the guardian ad litem, make sure you understand what their role is, and so you know what they're doing in the courtroom that's going to be beneficial to you.
If there is room and you can sit in front, you're welcome to sit next to the guardian ad litem. The remaining area at the council table will be filled by the parents' attorneys.
My name is Nancy Winter, and I'm an attorney that represents parents in juvenile court. Just as you have a guardian ad litem that represents your interests in juvenile court, I represent parents' interests in juvenile court. One of my primary responsibilities as a parent's attorney is to make sure that their rights are protected. I also have the obligation to make sure that the parents understand the juvenile court process. As we work through the juvenile court process, I review the facts of the case, I review the evidence, and then I offer advice to my clients, the parents, as to what I think that they should do in the case. My primary goal as a parent's attorney is to help the parent achieve the outcome that they desire. I help the parents throughout the time of the court process by making sure that the services they need are provided to them. I also make sure that their position can be heard by the judge. In the end, the ultimate goal, as I said, is to make sure that the parent's goal is reached.
Hi, my name is Deb Van Dyke Reese, and I am Program Coordinator with CASA for Lancaster County, and I'm here to tell you about the role of a CASA Volunteer. A CASA Volunteer, CASA first stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocate, and a CASA Volunteer has been appointed by a judge to a case with kids involved to advocate for the best interests of the children to whom they are appointed. The role of the CASA Volunteer is to meet with the youth, to meet with the professionals that are involved in the case, the attorneys. They'll meet with the parents, they'll observe visitation, but really the key to all of this is the CASA Volunteer wants to develop a relationship with the kids to whom they're appointed. And that's where a CASA Volunteer can be that person that a youth can share information about, maybe how they're feeling about their placement, whether they want to have more visitation with their family, if they want to see their siblings more often, whatever the issue may be. The CASA Volunteer can be a great person to talk to then share that information with the judge and the other professionals that are involved in the case.
These hearings are open to the public, and we do have benches in the back of the courtroom for other spectators, or if there's no room at the council table, you may be asked to sit here as well. It's important for you to stay involved in your case. Judges do want to hear from you. There are 3 ways that we can hear from you. You could come to court. We encourage you to come to court. You could speak to your guardian ad litem and tell them what your position is regarding the case, or you can complete the youth court form and present that to the court.
I'm Judge Tony Thorson. I'm a juvenile court judge in Lancaster County, Nebraska, and I've been asked to speak to you today about the role of a judge. That means to describe to you what the judge does, how they make decisions, and how they go about the process of making decisions that affect families. So when I think about the role of a judge or what the judge's job is, I would say the first thing the judge has to do is be fair. What that means is people are coming to the judge to decide problems that they're not able to handle themselves. So someone has to make a decision, and it's very important that that be a fair decision. So how does a judge ensure that everything is going to be fair? part of that involves making sure that everybody follows the rules. There are certain rules that people have to follow. The lawyers know the rules. They have to follow those rules. And also the judge has to make sure that everybody gets a fair chance to present their side of the story. So those are kinds of basic things about making sure that the judge lets everyone tell their story, everyone gets enough time to speak, everybody follows the rules. So if you think about it, in that part of their job, the judge is kind of like a referee. The judge is the one that says, okay, you're following the rules, that's fine, keep doing it, or no, you're not following the rules, there's an objection. And that's when the judge might say, wait a minute, you have to stop because what you're doing is not fair. So if you're in the courtroom and you hear someone say objection, that's not anything to worry about. That just means they're asking the judge to be the referee, to do that part of their job that makes sure that everyone's being fair. So if you were testifying, for example, and someone said objection, that's not anything that you did wrong. That's just someone saying, I want to make sure that everything is fair. And then the judge is going to make a decision about whether or not that question should be answered or not answered. That's just an example of how the judge makes sure that the process is fair. The next part of the judge's job is to listen. You might notice if you're in the courtroom that a lot of people are talking. The judges will talk, the witnesses will talk, and the judge may talk a little bit, but most of what the judge is going to do is listen. That's because the judge has to know what the facts are. The judge doesn't know anything about the case usually until it actually comes into the courtroom. So the lawyers and the parties, the people that are involved, are trying to give the judge information. So the judge has to listen to know what's really going on. So the judge may be writing notes and occasionally will say something, but probably your judge, at least at the beginning, is not going to say very much. The judge is just going to listen because that's part of what judges do in order to make decisions. And the last part I'm going to talk to you about today about what judges do is the decision part. As I said at the beginning, the reason people come before the judge is because there is a problem that hasn't been able to be handled outside of the courtroom, and so they come to the judge to make a decision. So the judges made sure that everything is fair, that everyone's getting a chance to say what they want to say under the rules, and that everyone's getting a fair opportunity. And then the judge listens, and while they're listening, the judge is also evaluating and thinking about what everybody has said. And then at the end, the judge will do the decision part of the job, which means after hearing everyone, then the judge makes a decision based on the law and the facts as to what should happen in a case. You know, should this family have services? Should the Department of Health and Human Services be involved? Those are the kinds of decisions that judges make. The judge has to base it on the evidence and also the law, so it's not as though the judge can just decide whatever they want to. They also have to follow the rules just like everyone else. But at the very end, that's when the people that are before the judge turn to the judge and say, okay, you've heard everything, it's been a fair process, now what's going to happen? And then that's when the judge does the end part, and in some ways the most important part, because it's the part that's going to directly affect what happens to a case and also to the family and to you as an individual.
All right, my name is Judge Ryder, and I'm one of the juvenile court judges here in Lancaster County, and I'm going to be talking to you today about the 4 main types of hearings that are held in juvenile court. Those hearings being temporary custody hearings, adjudication hearings, disposition hearings, and review hearings. Starting with the temporary custody hearings, in cases in which a child is removed from the family home, a temporary custody hearing is held within days of the out-of-home placement. At that hearing, the judge will decide whether or not the out-of-home placement needs to continue or whether or not the child can be returned to the family home. If the child remains outside of the family home, one of the issues that will be addressed is visitation or parenting time between the child and the parents. In all cases, an adjudication hearing is held. At that type of a hearing, the judge will explain to the parents what their rights are and also what the possible consequences could be if the allegations that have brought this family to court are found to be true. The parents then will have an opportunity to admit or deny those allegations. If the parent denies the allegations, then a trial will be held at a later date and time, and the judge will have to decide if the allegations are true or not true. If the allegations are not found to be true, that would end the case. The next type of hearing that is held in juvenile court is called the disposition hearing. This type of a hearing will take place if the parents have either admitted to the allegations or if the judge has found that the allegations are true at a trial. One of the main issues that will be addressed at this type of a hearing is what services are going to be necessary to address or correct the reasons that the family is currently before the court. After the disposition hearing is held, review hearings will be held at least every 6 months, but may be held more frequently. As the name implies, these hearings are held to review the progress of the family in correcting the issues and the reasons why the family is before the court. At the hearing, one of the things the judge will decide is whether or not there has been sufficient progress made to close the case, or whether additional time is necessary before the case would close. If the case does remain open, an additional review hearing will be scheduled, and this process will continue until such time as the case is closed. So then, to summarize the 4 types of hearings: a temporary custody hearing, an adjudication hearing, a disposition hearing, and a review hearing.
I'm Linda Porter. I'm one of the separate juvenile court judges here in Lancaster County, and they've asked me to give you some information about what happens in hearings. There are obviously different types of hearings, and I know Judge Ryder sort of explained those for you, but I'll tell you what happens typically in a dispositional review hearing first, because those are the types of hearings that you'd probably be most apt to be present at. The first thing I do is introduce all the parties, everyone seated at the table, and what their role is, or who they're representing, or who they're employed by. And I also try to identify or recognize foster parents if they're in the courtroom as well. The first thing typically that happens in a review hearing is I'll identify the exhibits that have been marked by the court reporter. And those exhibits typically include the court report that's been prepared by the Department of Health and Human Services, and also the report of the Guardian Ad Litem. But it can also include some other exhibits, some other written reports from counselors. It can also include a report from the foster parents, what's called a caregiver information form, or also a youth information form or youth form. And those are available that you can provide information to the court that you'd like the court to consider at that review or disposition hearing. Ask your guardian ad litem about those if you've not heard of those before, because they are available for you to give information to the court, and that could be considered then. Typically then what happens is if anyone wants to call witnesses to testify, that happens. Sometimes, probably most often, that's the caseworker, can also be the parents, could also be you if you were there, and typically your guardian ad litem may ask you if you want to testify. After any witnesses testify at a hearing, typically what the judge will do is ask for comments, and generally most judges just ask for comments from the lawyers. Your parents wouldn't be giving comments, nor would the caseworker. They would have been providing anything they wanted the court to consider through testimony or through the exhibits. So just the lawyers generally make comments, but if you're there, I and I think all of my colleagues will always ask you if there's anything you'd like me to know or the court to know. And this is really your chance to, even if you haven't been called to testify, to tell the court what's of concern to you or things you want us to know about your feelings about the court process or what's going on in your life. I would urge you to, ahead of time, think about things that you might want to say, or certainly if you're asked questions, not be intimidated or think that it's from anything other than the court wanting your information. Okay, thank you. We made this video to help you understand court better.
We hope you learned more what happens in hearings and what everyone's role is.
We really encourage you to come to court and tell us what you think about the case. And if you don't feel comfortable with that, complete the youth court form.
We are all working hard to protect your best interests. Court is about you, and we want to hear from you.
We hope this video helped you learn about coming to juvenile court.
Remember, your judge wants you to come to court and is very eager to meet you.
We hope you come to court and fill out a youth questionnaire.
Because important decisions are made about you in court, and your voice is very important.